Thank you so much for coming today. My name is Xtavia Bailey. I am your moderator and president of Manatee Tiger Bay, and we appreciate you so much for being here today. Would you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Don't pledge to me, but I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. Thank you so much. Manatee Tiger Bay likes to recognize any of our veterans and active duty members in the audience. Do we have any veterans? Please raise your hand or stand to be recognized. Please give them a round of applause. Kevin, Cliff, thank you so much for your service. We have two dignitaries that are joining our panel. We have Lisa Gonzalez Moore, who is Councilwoman for Ward 4. Please give her a round of applause for joining us today. Thank you so much for joining us. And we have Carol Phelps. She's District 1 County Commissioner for Manatee County. Please give her a round of applause. Please silence your cell phones, please. We appreciate it so very much. Today's topic of our series, we have a two-part series, and today we wanted to hear from the community, and we wanted to put together a couple of these panels. In 2 months, we will have a couple of the developers, Neal Communities and Medallion Homes will be joining that panel with a couple of our anti-growth or slow down the growth or smart growth citizens will be joining that particular panel. Today, Growth in Manatee County, hearing from the community, the impact, one of two-part series. Our speakers today is Dr. Abby Turner, an Executive Director with Suncoast Waterkeepers, Norma Kennedy, President, Paris Civic Association, Karan Dixon, Executive Director with Palmetto Downtown Main Street, Tony DeRusso, Managing Director with the Palmetto Marriott Resort and Spa, and Improvement Network Development Partners. Also, Councilwoman with City of Bradenton, Ward 4, Lisa Gonzalez Moore, and Commissioner of Manatee County with District 1, Commissioner Carol Phelps. Please give them a round of applause. We do have a couple of our speakers that will be exiting to join the governor's press conference today, so we want to make sure that we're able to get to them in a timely order so they will be able to also join over to that particular press conference. So we're going to start with that part of the table first, so they will be able to speak, and if you have any questions, you may. So we do make sure that we put the speakers' bios online, and for the county commissioner and for the city councilman, we did not type out these particular bios because they are online. So first we'll have Commissioner Carol Phelps with District 1 for Manatee County. Please give her a round of applause as she comes forth. You have 6 minutes.
Oh boy, that never works, does it? Okay, it never works, does it? Well, one thing I'm going to do is take off my heels because I cannot stand up here for 6 minutes. And I'm a lot shorter in real life. Okay, so what do I bring to the table for this discussion? I'm very blessed to have lived this long in spite of myself. I'm very blessed to be an 8th generation native Floridian, which I always say they're going to take us and stuff us and mount us and put us in a museum somewhere like an old tribe. But one thing that I'd like to talk about is water. And ironically, I just sat down on a park bench out there that was wet. This is how water affects our life. It was like a reminder of what brings us here and why we're here. If you go back in history, mankind civilization, we made our settlements near water sources, right? Because it was vital for our survival. Food, water, shelter, clothing, the essentials. And there is an innate knowledge of how that water was to sustain us. There was a common sense of, pardon me, but you don't do certain things upstream. You don't drink downstream. But as we've moved away from that, and through civilization, we've had more time for recreation. We've discovered that water also is a source of recreation. So we wanted to live near that water, not because we needed it for sustenance, but that we wanted it also for recreational purposes. When we become so far removed from the source of sustenance to where it becomes we turn on a water faucet and water comes out, we tend to forget some of those basics, that you settle near a water source for sustenance. You may need it for that. You may want it for recreation. But the old adage still holds true. You don't drink downstream and you don't do certain things upstream. It's a basic. But we've gotten away from understanding those basic concepts. And uh, challenges that I have as a commissioner over the largest district in Manatee County. We are larger land-wise than the rest of Manatee County combined. We hold some of the most important watersheds in Manatee County. We share our border with District 5 that maintains the Lake Manatee, your reservoir, your drinking water. And it's a great challenge coming from a rural area, yet it also gives you an innate knowledge. As if I turn on my water faucet, if you turn on your water faucet and no water comes out, you're probably going to call the county. There's nobody there but me and my well and what I'm responsible for, maintaining, improving, keeping it clean, providing the salt for it. So you may think that I couldn't relate to suburban needs or urban needs, but just multiply that times 60,000 other people. But we look at it as we just turn the water on and it comes out, and then if it doesn't, who do you call? Somebody else. So we're putting our basic sustenance in someone else's hands. So that's why you have to hold them accountable for that quality and that service of your water. We have a lot of challenges. We have a lot of growth that are making more demands on our water sources. We are surrounded by water. The most beautiful thing about Florida is its water, but it's salt water. And also in that, we're also kind of doing things that make it a little bit chancy to drink downstream. So what do we do about an essential sustenance issue that we all need every day? It means that we all have to take part in maintaining that sustenance for us, all of us. What does it mean when it comes to your local government? It means understanding how it works and what you could do about it. Everyone drinks water out of those taps. Everyone needs water to survive. So maybe that means that in order to maintain that, you have to do one thing every day that provides for that sustenance. It's more than turning on a water faucet. So, how do you do that? You have busy lives. How do you get involved with something? How do you maintain your need and your sustenance? You do it by picking a passion and picking a cause. And it could be just one thing a day. It could be informing someone. If you see something, say something, follow it through. You each have a responsibility, even though somebody else is in charge of your water and you're going to turn that faucet on and you're going to make a phone call. What else are you going to do? So pick a passion, pick a cause, do one thing a day that adds to your quality of life and adds to your sustenance of life. So that is probably the signal for my 6 minutes, which means I need to put my shoes back on and go see the governor. See? Yeah. I'm gonna. What time?
You got it. I got you. I got you. What I'm going to do, I'm going to call the Councilman Moore up next. What I'm going to do, because I'm going to be releasing them, I'm going to allow any questions. They would have to be quickly, if you have any for the Commissioner, Council Moore, or Tony, before they exit out. Council Moore, if you'll come over and you guys give her a round of applause as she comes forth, please.
Hello, my name is Lisa Gonzalez Moore. I'm currently serving on Bradenton City Council, and I represent Ward 4. Ward 4 is the most eastern and northeastern part of the city limits. I love to say that Ward 4 is special because it's got one of the oldest parts of the city of Bradenton, as well as some of the newest parts. So the most eastern part, thank you. The most eastern part is the newest part. I call them my five little fingers of community or planned unit developments, HOA type established communities. And then you've got some of the oldest part, which is northeast from about Braden Castle to downtown. Half of it is within the CRA. The downtown CRA ends at 15th Street, northeast, Mineral Springs Park, if anyone's familiar with that. Some of the biggest challenges that we face in the city, at least my priorities have been to date, infrastructure, all three types. That's traffic, stormwater, and sewer water, and economic revitalization within the city. So those have been my focuses. When we talk about growth in the city, that's a little bit difficult because most of it's built out. So you're really looking at infill or redevelopment type concerns. And my focus has always been to do those things responsibly because of my emphasis on infrastructure. So my goals are to bring that revitalization with smart growth, as you know, that's the popular way to say it, I guess. And the focus is definitely on making sure that the infrastructure is in place so that we can have that responsible growth. Currently, what I think are things for people to pay attention to at the moment are the Bradenton Palmetto Connector project that FDOT is currently working on. The three corridors now intersect Ward 4 in the city of Bradenton. They meet on the other side in various positions in Palmetto. So that's probably a challenge for county officials because those two municipalities have different interests and want those things in different places. Another thing I think that's contributing to, or what I'm focusing on at the moment is currently Ward 4 houses the oldest lift stations within the city limits. And I loved Commissioner Felt's comments on water because I often say that the things that the city has to address when it comes to sewer and stormwater, they affect the river, which means they affect all of us. It's not, the issues that we face in the city are not contained within the city. They actually leach out into the river and they affect everyone within the county. So right now, what is happening is a lot of focus from the city side on replacing and expanding lift stations. You may have heard me talk about this before because it has been something that I feel strongly about. And my ward, being one of the oldest, is currently about to embark upon such a project. They're very ambitious and they're very expensive. So procuring funding is almost always the problem with getting those kind of projects started. Right now, we are expanding Lift Station 3 and demolishing one that currently sits on the river because, old habitats 100 years ago, it made sense for people to put was basically a septic tank on the river because of gravity and the water. But now we've been state mandated to remove those lift stations that are currently on the water by, I believe it's 2030 or 2036, so I don't totally quote me on that. But in any event, it's our focus, and we're trying to actively do that. We're also replacing the collection system that is adjacent to those two lift stations, so demolishing one, expanding another, and then literally redoing all of the pipes that are going to now be in a roadway, because right now they're currently in people's yards, and all sorts of things that happen when you're in an environment that was built 100 years ago. It's citywide, though. We have other lift stations that are currently in the market to be enhanced in some way. Lift Station 14 is a main lift station, which means that other lift stations feed into it, and then from there it is transported to the water treatment facility. And then 8, of course, downtown. And that also speaks to growth, because with the upcoming projects that the council is looking at for downtown, in that economic revitalization component, we need to expand 8, and it's also on the river. So we need to relocate it and then expand it for that capacity. We just procured grant funding. I think it was grant funding and some appropriations in the amount of almost $20 million, which is wonderful. They're matching grants, so now that we enter budget season, the focus, at least my focus, is going to be, if we have a list of projects that have to happen, how do we prioritize the funding of the match for those projects? Several are in Ward 4 because of the nature of the age of some of this infrastructure. Those funds in particular, those projects are slated to address the stormwater issue. We care about that, generally speaking, as it relates to water, because when the stormwater is, it basically is leaching into the collection system and then affecting the water that's being treated, the sewer water, because the stormwater is now commingling with that. So we have several projects, including drainage along the river, as well as we need to address our seawalls. Oh, and that is my time as well. But if anyone wants to talk about infrastructure, I'm here for it.
Thank you so much, Councilwoman. It was very important for me to make sure that when we do these particular panels, that they're very diverse on why people are moving here, why people are building here, but also making sure that we have some of our elected officials and citizens. And so next we have Tony DeRusso, who's Managing Director of Palmetto Marriott Resort and Spa, the Improvement Network Development Partners. I thought it'd be very important, why did Marriott come here? Why was it important to start here in Palmetto, and what attracted them here as far as growth? As a managing director and minority partner for Development Partners, Anthony is responsible for management of the company's operations. He serves as project executive for the company's real estate development projects. He oversees the asset management and property management services for a large commercial real estate portfolio. He has spent the last 8+ years primarily focused on analyzing, executing, monetizing, and managing a broad range of real estate investments. Anthony DeRusso is a business professional with a unique range of work experiences across multiple industries in a variety of capacities. Mr. DeRusso is a proven leader in corporate infrastructure, including in-depth knowledge in project management, development, finance, real estate, human resources management, operations, sales, marketing, and contract negotiation, information, technology, and client management. Please give him a round of applause as he comes forward.
I don't know who wrote that because it wasn't me. So, yeah, Xavier asked me to come and talk a little bit about why Palmetto. I can't tell you how many times I've been asked that question. I am that guy who came here from Northern California and decided to take a really, really big risk. And it took a lot of work, a lot of due diligence to really get us to where we are today. And I've told a story oftentimes about how this project really got started. This project got started as an invitation from Starwood Hotels and Resorts, who's since been purchased by Marriott International. They called our chief financial officer and said, we have a project in the Bradenton area that we think you should look at. So it was then transferred over to my desk where I started doing the feasibility and due diligence on the project. I spent probably less than an hour looking at this project from my laptop in Northern California, and the answer was no. It was a lot more than no, actually. Unfortunately, I led a youth nonprofit organization back home. I was a baseball organization I was heavily involved in, and at the time I had a really, really big baseball tournament that I was coaching, and I was told that I needed to go get on a flight to Palmetto to come check out this place. So I came here begrudgingly, and I came here with a very pessimistic mindset, thinking that there's no way that this is going to work. This is a complete waste of our time. I don't know what we're doing. So I flew into town, and normally when I come into a new community, and I was familiar with, I was familiar with Sarasota and St. Pete, obviously Tampa. But I was not at all familiar with the Bradenton area or Palmetto or even Anna Maria Island. I had heard of Lakewood Ranch on the airplane when reading the magazines. I saw the ads on Lakewood Ranch. So I came here and I got in just in time for Pier 22 to be closed, so there was nowhere to have a meal. And I like to have a meal when I come into a new community to get a sense of kind of just what the community is about. Now, this was over 10 years ago now. And I remember driving out, and at the time, a local resort owner on Anna Maria Island was one of our partners. God bless him, David Teitelbaum, for anybody who knows him. And I'm staying out at one of his properties, but I didn't know what Anna Maria Island was. So again, I go and I'm complaining the whole time about, sorry, I'm missing your baseball to my kids and things like that. And then I wake up the next morning with my cup of coffee and the feet of the sand on Anna Maria Island. And when I went out there with my cup of coffee, I'm like, well, nobody told me this was a Corona commercial. I mean, it was literally kind of like my impression of Anna Maria Island. I'm like, well, this is beautiful. This is pretty. And really throughout that whole week, my mind started transitioning from being pessimistic about it to semi-optimistic. And then over the course of time, after coming and getting a little bit more engaged in the community, and meeting the Manatee Memorial Hospitals, the IMG Academies, the It Works, the Feld Entertainment, Tropicana Orange Juice, Bell's Department Stores, and and starting to get and meet and talk with some of the leaders within those organizations and trying to figure out, oh my gosh, how does this place actually not have a full service hotel yet? It literally became that after spending literally years actually of due diligence of being like, I can't believe that there isn't a full service hotel here yet. So once that kind of happened, like I said, that took a long time. I had to then now go prove it to the investment community, right? And that was a challenge in and of itself. I mean, the digital footprint that you look at from the investment community, really, it wasn't there. So we had to do all kinds of unique things, like, hire GPS tracking companies to be able to track people where they're coming, what are the top 10 interests, where are they staying, and yes, Big Brother can see all of that. Just to let you know, if you pay for it, you can find out what people's habits are, where they go, where they stay, where they eat. All of that is readily available if you want to do that. So kind of a little something to think about. But so through the whole time, I really fell in love with this community. Fell in love with it, really the people. It really wasn't just about the amenities, it was about the people. Coming from Northern California and going through COVID completely transformed my whole perception on how policy can really affect your daily lives. And so through that transition of being, I'm traveling, like we lost our construction loan in the middle of COVID. And while everybody else is binge watching on Netflix, I'm literally zooming and flying all over this country trying to find a construction loan for a headquarter hotel next to a convention center in the middle of a worldwide pandemic in Palmetto. You know what I mean? And it was that was a pretty challenging thing for us to, get through. But through that process, I became convinced, like, this is a community that I want to be a part of. I don't want to just come here and build a hotel and kind of come on and move on to the next thing. I relocated my family here. So 3 years ago, we relocated here, and now we've become not only, as a business investor, we've become a part of this community. And I'll just say real quick, as it relates to infrastructure, I know that, that's really, really important. We don't want to end up like Exuma. I was just in Exuma, 2 weeks ago celebrating my anniversary. they've experienced an incredible amount of growth, tourism growth, population growth, et cetera. And the infrastructure there isn't there to support the growth. I mean, literally the power would go out in the entire resort like 3 times when we were there. Like, do we know what time it's going to come back on? And no, well, okay, we'll just go, sit by the pool and have another drink. But it's a catch-22. It really, really is, because you need the economic stimulus that things like the hotel is going to be providing, the job creation, the tax creation, all of those things, because where the problem is, the answer is 9 times out of 10, funding. Right? And where do you get the funding? You get it from, large business, small business, all these other things. So it really is a catch-22 in order to be able to get us there. I do know that we've got a lot of really good projects on the books. We need to just keep going and, keep things growing so that we can have the funding to be able to take care of a lot of what these problems are with the traffic, the water, all of those things. So sorry I went past my time, but.
Good, I love it.
All right. Thank you, guys.
What I want to do really quickly before they do head out, do we have any questions for Tony, Carol, or Lisa? Do we have any questions before they head out? It's way back there, but give me 1 second.
I'm just going to point out real quick, if anybody needs anything for the hotel, that is the boss. That's Greg Cascio.
Come sit on my panel.
He's the gentleman who's anything for the hotel. I'm sorry that we do have to go to the other engagement, but if you need anything for the hotel, Greg is here. So.
Go ahead.
Okay, this is for anybody, but I think maybe for Commissioner Feltz especially. My name is Liv Coleman. I'm a professor of political science at the University of Tampa, and I live in East Manatee. It's actually District 5, but not far from 1. And I was curious, just hypothetically, if you were able to ask one question of Governor DeSantis, what would be the biggest help or change you could have at the state level to make your job easier as a county commissioner in terms of growth management or watershed protection?
I could use my pastor voice. There are many, we are not alone. And I just want to state, since I must go and meet with the gentleman soon, this is not, sometimes we have the best of intentions, but they go awry. And the wonderful thing about our American democracy is when we make a mistake, or when we kind of start off with the best intentions, but they go awry, we have a system and a mechanism to make those changes. But we have to approach everything in fairness, in kindness, and solution-oriented. So our biggest challenges right now is the 250 and the 180. And those numbers are not just numbers. But I want our approach on this to be factual, evidentiary, and displaying what the benefit was and how to keep the benefit without putting our communities at risk. So that's what I'm fixing to do. And I just want to make sure you all know that we do have one thing that we miss, because it's very subjective, is what is to the public benefit. So who is the best judge of that? I think that would be the public. And if your voices are not heard, then you elect people that do voice for you. And then, as I said, each one of you has to do your part too. Nobody's in this alone, and nobody could do it alone. But we're going to challenge. We're going to challenge the governor. I said it. We're going to do it. But we're going to do it. But we're going to do it right and well, and I appreciate your support for that. Thank you.
Lisa, did you want to answer that? Did you want to, before you head out?
I'll just briefly say that
Go
we,
ahead,
from a city standpoint, I would just encourage the governor to work with the state legislature to make sure that we are creating programming that helps the local municipalities fund these really super crucial projects, because the dollars are, just eyeball popping, and the need is great. And if we don't get those things funded, then we all suffer. And so that would be my suggestion. A little bit less exciting.
Any other questions before she heads out? Because I just want to make sure you all are good. Thank you, Lisa. Please give. Thank you. I appreciate it. Next, we'll have Norma Kennedy. She is the president of the Parish Civic Association. Norma Kennedy currently serves as president of the Parish Civic Association and is a proud Floridian lifelong resident of Manatee County. After retiring from Verizon, where she held roles as business office, customer service representative, supervisor, and training instruction, she became actively involved in the parish community in 2012 and has served in various capacities such as board member, membership chair, and vice president, and now president. Please give her a round of applause as she comes forth.
This is my first time working one of these, so y'all may laugh a little bit. Parish. How many of you know where Parish is? Great. How many of you know where the village of Parish is? Good. That makes my job easier here. And for the ones that do not know, it actually is the old settlement of Parish, which basically would run along Fort Hamer Road, 301 to Moccasin Walla. So that is where the Parish Civic Association focuses on, and that's where we want to make things happen. And this one goes forward, right? This one? Yeah. We've been in operation since 1981, and our mission is to advocate the interest of the parish community and preserve its history or its heritage. In 1926, well, that's out of order. Parishes, as you know, is experience growth. I mean, so much growth, it is actually swallowing up the village and leaving it behind. And that's what we're working on, is the infrastructure needs that are there. We don't have sewer in the village of Parish. So that's why you see when you travel up 301 and you get into the entrance of the village area, there is very little commercial. Commercial can't come in there with a restaurant and operate. They gotta have sewer. They gotta have water. They gotta have all of that. So a lot of us are still on septic out in Parish, and we have our own wells. Okay. It's not moving. Okay. Oops. It went too fast. Okay. This is what I was going to tell you. In 1926, Parish had a Chamber of Commerce, and they chose this logo of a star because it was the hub of Manatee County, and that was their logo. And why is it the hub of Manatee County? You can get to Tampa, you can get to Wauchula, you can get to Arcadia, you can get to Bradenton, Palmetto, Sarasota, and Clearwater and St. Pete. There's access any way you want to go in the county. So I thought that was interesting that they would come up with that, and also have a chamber. I can't get a chamber out there now, but we tried. Okay. Okay, here comes our primary goals. We are trying to develop a town center. And this has been in a process for a long time. Again, funding is needed for that, of course, like everybody else. Yeah. And what we do is we guide, we work with the county and we try to guide how we want the growth to happen and how we want the town center to look. And our focus is we would like it to be quaint because we have the Railroad Museum out there and kind of theme it for that. We need connectivity of the roadways. We have a lot of dead-end streets and they're probably 18 feet wide. So you can't have dual traffic. It's a mess. Of course, I mentioned the sewer that we need. See, I'm not the only one having trouble. So what is the PCA trying to do? We're working with the Manatee County government. We created a neighborhood action plan, and that was done in 2018. And they approved it in 2019, and we're still working on it, and we're still waiting on it. And the purpose was to identify the key issues and develop strategies to improve the village of Parrish. Of course, we need public safety out there. We don't have the police out there at all. We need, of course, housing is blown up, so we don't really need any more housing. Infrastructure is not there. We do promote Parrish through our Facebook, and we, I'll tell you about the other thing later, how we promote it. We have social economic factors that we try to tend to out there. And we want the Main Street development, and which I've talked to this young lady over here about today. What we envision is a walkable, pedestrian-friendly area with boutique shops, parks, and the gathering spaces. And we have the Railroad Museum, but did you know that the Railroad Museum brings in to Parrish 70 to 80,000 visitors each year? Most of them come for the North Pole Express and what's the other one? Thomas the Train. Thomas the Train. So those two bring that in, and when they get off of the train and they get in their car, there's nothing for them to do in the village of Parrish. So they leave and say, oh, that was fun. So the other thing we did was we had this wonderful new high school, and I fought really hard. I was going to say it a different way. Really hard to keep the name of Parrish into the high school name. And we had to fight hard. We had to bring the village people together, and we filled the Civic Center halfway full and said, school board, we need Parrish in our name. So we did fight hard for that, and it happened. The other way we advertise is our Parrish Village News, and I'm sorry that the word's separated, but going from one computer to the other caused that. $36 a month, a year, you can have our Parrish Village News, and you can apply for it on our Parrish Civic Association website. It gives you everything that's happening out there, along with a lot of county information and what is happening out there. We try to keep the people, like Carol Feltz says, we try to keep them educated so that they're not caught off by surprise of what is going to be built around them. And we do that. We service 25,000 homes in the 34219 zip code with that. So, what's the pros and cons of Parish? It's still a little bit rural setting. It's community focused. We have spirited people organizing social gatherings and events, fostering strong neighborhood bonds among its residents. The town is in proximity to the metropolitan areas, and the growth has brought new schools, 2 traffic lights, and a community activity in the village with the park, the new park that we've got. Cons, increased growth has put a strain on the village area and the surrounding areas. It is what it is. Job opportunities in Parish, of course, are limited because of the nature of that. Cost of living is rising. And not enough infrastructure to accommodate the growth. We're working hard to make our village a place to live, work, and play. And thank you so much.
Thank you, Norma. We now will have Dr. Abby Turner. She's the Executive Director of Suncoast Waterkeeper. Experienced educator and scientist, Dr. Abby Turner joined Suncoast Waterkeeper in 2022. She grew up in Cape Coral and has focused her education on learning about wetlands and protecting Florida waters. Please give her a round of applause as she comes forward.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm going to do this rather quickly. So I'm going to take my presentation and cut it in half in real time. So that's going to be fun. So I was going to introduce myself, but oh, my time's up. But the main point of introducing myself was just to let you know that it's not a brag, but I did do my dissertation on characterizing the network structure of headwater wetlands in riparian areas in Pennsylvania. And so I'm going to focus a lot today on headwater wetlands and headwater streams. But before I do, I just want to let you know about Suncoast Waterkeeper and our mission. We're a small but mighty organization working to protect our local waters. And we do that through things like this, community engagement. We also do scientific monitoring. You might have seen our weekly post about where it's safe to swim in the bays around the Suncoast. We also do a lot of advocacy work. And then when all else fails, we take responsible legal action. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, but I just pulled these images from a stormwater workshop that was put on by Manatee County in February. And you all remember, oh, wait, hold on, maybe this will work. Psych. You all remember the flooding that occurred after Debbie. So I'm going to go through some of the images. It didn't matter where you lived, out east, up north, or down south in Manatee County. You are going to be impacted by flooding for one reason or another. That's because the stormwater management system is designed for a 25-year, 24-hour rain event, which is 8 inches, not the 12 inches or more that we received. Plus, the base elevation flood maps, or FEMA maps, are made for the 100-year flood event, which is 10 inches in 24 hours. Again, not the 12 inches that we received. Knowing that means knowing that we have to improve our capacity, not reduce it through the loss of landscapes that hold and filter water. Enter wetlands. So looking at this image, you can see wetlands across Manatee County. This is the wetland inventory map produced by the federal government. As the boundary moves east, several factors must be considered. So what I want you to notice right now is there's actually not a line, but you can delineate a line in your mind between west Manatee County and East Manatee County. And all those little blue dots are stormwater ponds that were created on top of wetlands. So they used to be wetlands, but now out east you can see all the green. The green are current wetlands. And they're not just any wetlands, they're headwater wetlands. They're wetlands that are the headwaters of our downstream watersheds. So these headwater channels often run dry during Florida's annual dry season, making them vulnerable to development. Headwater wetlands resemble the downstream counterparts, but their unique position on the landscape is crucial to the drainage of the entire watershed. The headwaters in Manatee County include channels and floodplains and wetlands are endangered due to lack of federal and state protection. For example, try to tune into the light green shapes on the right side of the image. You're observing the high density of isolated seasonal and ephemeral wetlands, such as marshes that fill during the wet season. Under the narrow interpretation of the waters of the United States, these wetlands are considered non-jurisdictional, so they're not protected under the Clean Water Act. So these systems that are not protected in Florida either, and these isolated marshes are the primary wetland type as we move out east. These are the headwater wetlands that seem insignificant but work in concert to drain the upper watersheds. How can they be protected? Well, at this point, the only way to do that is through local policies. And because of SB 180 that Commissioner Feltz talked about, it's by now employing a local ethic with our county commissioners. The importance of headwaters, why should we care? Well, those smattering of light green wetlands and the forested floodplains of the headwaters of East Manatee County are important because while they're small, they make a big impact. Their scattered and small nature makes them seem insignificant, but they are anything but. Scientific studies show that these headwater systems are critical sponges and breaks for water moving across the landscape. Collectively, these systems play a disproportionate role in flood protection because they drain a much larger area of the watershed than their downstream counterparts. So here's an example. Here's Gamble Creek. What is Gamble Creek known for? Anybody know? It's flooding. So this is an upper watershed, and this is a headwater of the Manatee River, and it produces about 60% of the flow of Manatee River between the Hidden Harbor Park and I-75. So development in this area was recently, that's where Pope Ranch was supposed to go, was recently declined by, the rezoning was declined by the commissioners. And if you haven't thanked your commissioners, you should do so, because that was the embodiment of an ethic in which they can stop rezoning if it does not bode well for flooding or the protection of wetlands that we know absorb flooding potential. Unfortunately, we can't say the same thing about the headwaters leading into Lake Manatee where we get our drinking water. So those are two developments. We've got one in the square in the upper left and one in the rectangle in the lower right. And both of those, unfortunately, are not protective of Sand Branch, and they're not protective of the wetlands in Sand Branch, nor are they protective of Poley Branch or the wetlands there. So they will be developed on top of. That does not bode well for our drinking water source. So there are good examples, and I'm just going to go quickly through the good examples. This is Duet Preserve. I just want to let you know that Duet Preserve looks like the picture on the right, and studies have shown that by protecting that, you're protecting $17 million a year in flooding reduction. So you're creating $72 million a year in flood reduction values. But don't take two researchers' word for it. You can also look at Tampa Bay Estuaries Program. They've looked at how much flooding benefits or reduction and protection benefits you get from wetlands. And you can see the green areas in the map. Those are wetlands in the headwaters. And collectively, they're producing $70.6 million a year in annual flood protection benefits. So those headwaters are really important. But unfortunately, we're losing them. This is a statewide assessment showing the loss of wetlands. And you can see the squared, or the rectangle is where Manatee County is. We're losing them at a rapid rate. And we're going to continue to lose them because we don't have any federal or state protections to protect them. So the only thing we have is a local ethic that we're trying to create. So the solution is a smarter, holistic approach to recognize that headwater wetlands are essential infrastructure, to require large ecological meaningful buffers, and to complete and implement updated watershed plans and create tools to assess the cumulative impact of development and the cumulative impact of wetland loss. And in order to do that, we need funding, as the City of Bradenton Commissioner mentioned. And we have a petition on our website that you can sign if you're interested in being assessed a small fee so that we can do the work that needs to be done in order to improve our stormwater management system. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. We'll get right back to you if there's any questions. I want to now go to Karan Dixon. She's the Executive Director of Palmetto Downtown Main Street. She serves as the Executive Director for Palmetto, where she has begun to be the driving force behind revitalization of historic downtown Palmetto since 2024. Fueled by her lifelong passion for community building, Karan has leveraged her energy, expertise, and vision to transform downtown Palmetto. Under her leadership, the program was recognized as the Florida Main Street Program of the Month in January 2025 for its revitalization efforts, successful public/private partnerships, and positive community impact. In 2026, Palmetto Downtown Main Street also achieved affiliate accreditation from the National Main Street Program. Please welcome Karan Dixon.
Good afternoon, everyone. As she said, my name is Karon Dixon, and I'm the Executive Director of Palmetto Downtown Main Street. So I'm just going to jump right in because I know that we are on a time schedule here. There we go. So who are we? We're a nonprofit community revitalization program. We're part of the Florida Main Street and Main Street America, and we focus on historic preservations, small business support, and inclusivity for community development. Our mission is to, I need to take my glasses off because it's on the side here, is actually to promote and preserve the heart of Palmetto by supporting economic growth, community engagement, and a vibrant downtown for all to experience. We use a four-point approach. I like to kind of call it the DOPE approach, right? So DOPE meaning design, organization, promotion, and economic vitality. I'm not going to kind of go all into those because you can kind of see that on your screen, but that is the approach that all of the main streets follow in order to get the information out into our communities or whatever. Recently, we've been focusing a lot on our promotions to really get the name of Palmetto Downtown Main Street out into the community, and I'll talk about that a little bit more in a couple more of our slides. So I kind of want you to think this, right? So picture yourself downtown where storefronts are like filled with local businesses, with music spilling out. You have, parks. You have neighbors gathering with everywhere, streaming lights, in the warm summer evening. That is what we're creating in downtown Palmetto. When you go to a city, you typically want to know what their downtown looks like, right? So we're helping to build that here in Palmetto. So why do they matter? Why does having downtowns matter? Our downtown, as many of you know, if you may know, it's historic. So we do focus again on that historic preservation part. So people get an opportunity to see the historic and the cultural aspects of a downtown. It's the economic engine that really focuses for those local businesses. It's a gathering place for people to come and sit and enjoy our parks, to enjoy just being with family and friends. And having a strong downtown equals a strong community. Some of our highlights and milestones that we've had, we kicked off with a Holiday Funland last year, where it was a 3-day event. It was an opportunity for us to begin to get our name out there. We had a lot of great things out there for the families to do. Another great thing, and as Xtavia was mentioning earlier, and why I tout that is because it really was a very uphill battle for us to begin, number one, to become accredited through the Florida Main Street, which is through Tallahassee, and then also through Main Street America. So that was a huge accomplishment for us. There was a lot of points that we had to check off, and I'm really proud that we were able to get that. We hosted the Florida Main Street Quarterly Conference this past January. We've had 18 new businesses that have opened up in our downtown, and I go back to what Tony mentioned before. Why Palmetto? So that was kind of like a great segment to say, why Palmetto? Why are these businesses coming into our downtown? And I think Tony gave a really good rendition as to the reasons why. We just finished up our Saturday Sundown concert series where we focused on different genres of music to have people to come out. It was free to the community to come out and enjoy our live events. And then again, to be recognized as an official Main Street. What does that do? That opens up opportunities for us to get grant funding. And as you know, having a nonprofit organization, it does take money to run these organizations. And so that was a really great opportunity for us to be able to receive. Community impact. So right now we're currently restoring the old historic Women's Club. If you haven't had a chance to go in our downtown, it's currently under renovation. We're really excited about that. Would probably open, it's slated to open the end of the year, but I don't think it's really going to be ready for like feet into there to probably next year. Upgrading downtown, we planted some planters in our downtown just to kind of do some streetscaping, some beautifications. I've done some partnerships with Keep Manatee Beautiful to help us with that effort, and then also to promote some of our local businesses. And I partnered with the Education Foundation to help some of those youth to begin to get some of those volunteer hours. So those are just some of our community impacts that we're making, and we're continuously doing more. So what's next for us? As I said, the reopening of the Women's Club will be around 2026. We're attracting creative businesses and entrepreneurs. There's a lot of different things that I'm working on, and just connecting with people within the community to kind of help to kind of drive our messaging within Palmetto. Historic walking tours, and we're installing banners that will be coming along. And then we are looking to continue to grow our activities and events. So how do you get involved? We have committees that you can get involved with. You can become a volunteer. You can join our mailing list. You can sponsor us. You can adopt a project that we're going to be working on. And then you can always like, follow, and share. Free advertising me just by saying, hey, have you heard of Palmetto Downtown Main Street? Word of mouth is always powerful. If you have any additional questions, you're welcome to follow us. Again, you can connect with me. You can email me, follow us on our Facebook page. Thank you guys so much.
Great job. So it was very important. This is the first of two series. I do want to tell you guys in September, we will have the second series will involve a couple more citizens and the two developers. And next month, we're starting the series with community foundations, education, and philanthropy for all in healthcare. All the cuts are going on the state level and the federal levels, how our communities need to come together and how we're going to support each other from the foundations, from private donors, and just the community, making sure that the people that live here still are able to have health care, education, and so many things that we provide in Manatee County. Thank you all for coming. The water, downtown Main Street, the Marriott, the Commissioner, the Bradenton, and then Parish. I live in Parish and I'm getting lost now. So it's really, really building up fast. I have my church is 146 years old, and they just took back some of our road. We have the oldest church in Parish, Florida, and they just took about one of our roads, changed our park name, but we're not going to go through all that today. Do we have any questions for our panelists today? You may come to the microphone right there, any of the panelists that are still up here. And then if you have any questions for either the councilman, the commissioner, or Tony, you can email myself and we will get that answered for you. You may go to the microphone. Anyone? Make sure when you are asking your question, please do not elaborate. Please ask your question, and please also let us know who the question is for. Go ahead, Kim.
This is more of a testimonial. I live in Parish.
Okay.
However, the business I work for is in Palmetto. So it's just a testimony to you two ladies. I know you personally. I love the heart that Norma has had for Parish and for all of us raising our kids out there. We're trying to keep it humble. We're trying to keep our agriculture. We're losing so much of that. And I sincerely appreciate everything that you do. And the same thing with you, Kayron. I mean, I know your heart from day one when you started this. I happened to be in the meeting, and I will be rejoining you soon. And you ladies, just know that you're reaching the community in the right venue, and that we'll do everything we can to help you and to grow both of your associations. Thank you.
And just to say, K-Ron and the Norma, these organizations were started out because citizens were meeting. They didn't start out with a particular focus, but that they wanted to bring people and better Manatee County and then the city of Palmetto. And of course, Parrish has been meeting for a while. Glenn?
For the record, Glenn Giblina. So this is more of a statement as well. So water is very, very important in our county. And I think there's other avenues that we have not engaged in, and we need to. So if any of you are familiar with the Earthship and Mike Reynolds, I suggest you Google it. I've spent some time out at Tahoe's. We recycle water 4 times. They only get 7 inches of rain, but they have enough needs to be self-sustaining. So when I was building my house, I went to the health department. I said, look, I'm going to take my rainwater and I'm going to shower with it. And I'm going to take that shower water and I'm going to flush my toilet with it. And the only thing that's going to go back to the city or the septic is black water. They looked at me like I was nuts. I mean, why can't my washing machine water flush my toilet or go out to my banana plants? And they were going to find me to do it. So we need to change our whole way of thinking. I've got a rainwater harvesting system. I have swells. I don't care how much water we get. Not one drop of water leaves my property. And I think if a lot of homeowners did that and had rainwater catchment systems and recycled their water, we wouldn't have the problems that we have. And we would have enough water to go around. And I would encourage you, if you've never had a shower with rainwater, do it. You won't even need shampoo. For the record,
That's
thank
a
you.
little bit more education than a question, but thank you, Glenn. Do we have any questions before we go? I do want to thank the panelists for coming out. We wanted to make sure that as we go out through these series, we're not only educating, but giving a broad idea of what's going on in Manatee County from the growth aspect. And again, next month, we have the community foundations and philanthropy and the impact with our healthcare and how some of those cuts are impacting Manatee County directly and what can we do. And then September, we will have the growth part 2, which we have Neil Communities and the representative from Medallion Homes. And then we have 2 anti-growth or slow it down growth citizens that will be participating. And then October, we have the tale of 2 cities. That's what we're calling it. Bradenton is growing, Palmetto is growing, and we will have the 2 mayors and really breaking down the CRA and how the CRA is impacting. If you don't know, Bradenton is growing really, really fast, and they really have some plans to grow it. You have to kind of go on their website to see what they're doing, but they have some plans. I seen it a couple weeks ago, so it's going to be very interesting. If we do not have any questions or comments before we go, I do want to thank TLC Embellishment Catering for lunch. I also want to thank you all for coming. Thank you to the news. Chris Dolan, the station manager, METV crew, we appreciate you. Lillian Belcher, reporter for WSF, thank you so much. ABC7, our sponsors. Bradenton Herald, thank you so much. You all have a great day. Thank you for coming.